Today we are fortunate to have with us Mr. Stephen Ashley. He is the founder of Divorced Fathers Network in Santa Cruz, California. Mr. Ashley has assisted hundreds of men and women in creating cooperative relationships with their former spouses. He is a featured guest on radio shows and is frequently mentioned in the media. He has participated in and produced public television programs about the contributions of the Divorced Fathers Network to communities. He leads workshops on shared parenting and variety studies from fatherhood conferences to jails. Mr. Ashley is the author of Fathers Are Forever, a co-parenting guide for the 21st century. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ashley. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, Dan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Now, as I was introducing you, I mentioned that you have a book that has been just recently released, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the title of the book is The Long Distance Dad, How You Can Be There for Your Child, whether divorced, deployed, or on the road. And it's published by Adams Media. It's available in all the major bookstores. Just came out in March of this year.
And is there another book that you have out as well?
Sure. The first book I wrote, and it's based on the experience of the fathers in the Divorced Fathers Network. And these are fathers who are having a difficult time with their children's mother or with the legal system, and they just want to stay in their children's lives. So we wrote a book, and it's called Fathers Are Forever, a co-parenting guide for the 21st century. And it's in its third printing, and like I said, it's our basic text for the fathers, and there's a few mothers attending the Divorced Fathers Network on a regular basis.
And you said it's in its third publication, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. That's correct. And our network, was started 21 years ago, and it was based on the idea that divorced fathers can be a great resource for each other, for other divorced fathers. And we just found that formula really worked, the idea of fathers helping fathers. And our group started growing. And the guy said, well, we need to have regular meetings. Every week would be ideal. And after we did that for a year or so, the father said, we're discovering some very useful ways to stay involved in our children's lives and to go through the family law legal system, which can be, nightmarish at times. And if we could write this down in a book, what we've discovered and how a father can negotiate through the system as quickly and painlessly as possible, we could serve more dads. And that's exactly how the book Fathers Are Forever came about. And it's available on our website, divorcedfathersnetwork.org. So it's a very practical, hands-on manual for fathers. About 186 pages, so it's meant to be written or read by fathers going through divorce who have a lot on their plate and need to get to the important information quick.
How would you advise someone who's going through a divorce, which is often long and extremely emotional, to stay in touch and in contact with their children throughout the process when mom has the primary physical custody?
That's very challenging. I mean, I don't know anything more painful for a father than to be denied access to his children, because he's going through a divorce. I mean, that's just nightmarish. The best way to remain in your children's lives is to learn from fathers who have been through the process before you and have managed to have a working relationship with the children's mother. Maybe they've figured out how to use mediation effectively to negotiate a shared parenting arrangement. Maybe they've discovered a law firm that really believes fathers are important, and that law firm has helped them, come to a co-parenting arrangement or record a parenting agreement. So to pass that information from one father who's been successful to the newer father who's newer in the process, that's just a godsend for the newer man.
Now, how would they utilize your website?
Well, they just go to divorcedfathersnetwork.org, and I think if you type in and search Divorced Fathers, the Divorced Fathers Network will be one of the organizations and web pages that come up first, simply because, we've had a web presence for 20 years. So just go to the website, search Divorced Fathers or divorcedfathers.org. Get to our site, and you'll find everything there from lesson plans. I think we have about 50 lesson plans, which are one-page lessons that fathers can read and implement in their lives immediately. And these lesson plans will help build a bridge. You know, maybe it'll be the first brick in the bridge, but it'll help the father begin to build a bridge of cooperation with the children's mother. And remember always that progress is slow. Our goal is slow, steady progress. Yeah.
How important is cooperation with the children's mother?
Well, research has shown that what's damaging, the most damaging thing for children whose parents are divorcing, is the fighting between mothers and fathers. That's what really damages children emotionally. So if a father can plug into resources that support him emotionally and educate him, he'll probably fight with the mother less, and that'll be good for his children. It's very important that the children know the father is always going to be in their lives. He's never going to give up in his battle to be in the children's lives, but at the same time, he's going to build a relationship and fight to remain in his children's lives without damaging the children. If, you know, doing as little high conflict fighting with the mother as possible. We like to view our approach as a chess game. You know, the fathers want to make small moves which serve them, their children, and eventually the mother, and eventually get to a point where both sides say, you know what, it makes no more sense to fight. You know, checkmate, if you will. We're going to just work together and raise these kids.
Now, what about a situation where the parents, either the mother, father, or both, put the children in the middle?
Well, then we want to educate the fathers on how damaging that is for the children, and we want to educate the fathers in ways that they can convince the mother that that is a very, very damaging practice to her own children. And, you know, that could take all kinds of courses. The father may have to bring that up in the court numerous times and show the court ways that the mother is putting the children in the middle. The father may have to go to court and demand that both parents have counseling. Or the father may be more fortunate and have to educate the mother, maybe by giving her a book, maybe by giving her a copy of Fathers Are Forever, which explains how damaging it is to put the children in the middle. Maybe the father will educate the mother and she will quit doing that. That would be an ideal situation.
And do you have sites on your website to where a father could go to for not just advice, but on how to tackle certain issues or instances that may come up in his relationship with mom?
Absolutely. We address issues like parental alienation syndrome, which comes up quite often and can be extremely damaging to children. We address move-away issues. These are very common issues that fathers face today. They're being divorced. 7 out of 10 divorces are initiated by women, by mothers. So the mother gets a divorce. A year and a half later, she decides she wants to move 5 states away and wants to live with her new romantic partner or her mother or parents. And now, what can fathers do in those situations? And so there's a lot to learn there. But those situations are manageable if fathers will learn from other fathers who have successfully been through the process.
For those listeners who are hearing some of this information for the first time or realizing that certain issues that we're talking about are happening, unfortunately, in their case, could you define a little bit more parental alienation syndrome?
Well, parental alienation is where a child is poisoned, is given information